The fluorescent lights buzz overhead like angry wasps. My eyelids feel heavy, resisting as I force them open. A rhythmic beeping penetrates the fog and my brain steady, insistent, mechanical. Hospital. I'm in a hospital. White walls, white ceiling, white everything except for the clear tube snaking from the IV bag into my arm. A blood pressure cuff inflates, squeezing tight before releasing with a whisper. The monitor beside me displays numbers I'm too groggy to interpret. Someone's left my phone on the metal side table. The screen lights up when I touch it, revealing 4 days of notifications. Instagram, Twitter, work emails, a parent asking about Tommy's science project, the principal's concerned message about coverage for my class. But nothing from my family. Nothing except a single text from Zach. Hey, just checking if you can still cover my phone bill this month. My throat tightens. Even now, flat on my back in a hospital bed, that's all he cares about. The weight of this realization presses against my chest harder than any medical equipment. The memories of my collapse float back like fragments of a bad dream. Standing before my third graders, drawing fraction diagrams on the whiteboard. The colored markers swimming before my eyes. Principal Robert's face appearing in my classroom doorway, his forehead creased with worry. I'm fine, I had insisted, gripping the edge of my desk. Just need some water. The next memory, my knees buckling as I tried to explain equivalent fractions. Small voices crying out, "Miss Thompson," the cold linoleum against my cheek. Then sirens, movement voices speaking medical jargon above me as lights flashed past overhead. A gentle knock interrupts my thoughts. A woman in a navy blazer enters holding a clipboard. "Miss Thompson, I'm Lisa Parker from Social Services. How are you feeling?" "Better." My voice comes out raspy. "Thank you." She pulls up a chair, her expression kind but professional. "Is there family we should contact? I notice no one's been by to visit." The question lands like a punch to the gut. "I'll call them now." She nods and steps out, leaving me alone with the phone and the steadily beeping monitors. My finger hovers over my father's number. 1 ring, 2 rings, 3. "Dana." Walter Thompson's voice carries its usual mix of distraction and mild irritation. "What's up, kind of in the middle of something?" "Dad!" I swallow hard. "I'm in the hospital. I collapsed at school." A pause. "Oh." Papers rustling in the background. "Well, that's not good. When will you be out?" The casual dismissal shouldn't surprise me anymore, but it still stings. "They're not sure yet. Severe dehydration and exhaustion," they said. Well, we're a bit tied up this week with some projects. You know how your mother gets in hospitals, all those germs. But let us know when you're home." My mother's voice carries faintly in the background. "Who is it?" "Dana's in the hospital," he calls back. "Something about being tired." "Oh dear." Linda Thompson's voice grows clearer as she presumably takes the phone. "You know I can't handle hospitals, sweetie. All those sick people, it sets off my anxiety." Tears burn behind my eyes. I blink them back, staring at the ceiling. "Right, of course. But you'll still help with the mortgage this month, won't you? Your father's freelance work is a bit slow again." A laugh bubbles up in my throat, sharp, bitter, bordering on hysterical. I think about my last birthday spent alone because I'd given Zach the money I'd saved for a celebration to cover his emergency car repair. The vacation to the Grand Canyon. I'd canceled when my parents fell behind on their mortgage payments. Again, the numbers swim through my head. $1,200 for their mortgage last month, $800 for Zach's car insurance, $250 for his phone bill, all from my teacher's salary while they... Something shifts inside me like a gear finally clicking into place. The steady beeping of the heart monitor takes on a different rhythm in my ears. Enough, enough, enough. I end the call. My fingers move across the phone screen, finding Zach's message. For once, the words come easily. "No, I can't cover your bill anymore." The response is immediate. My phone explodes with notifications. "Zach, what do you mean, no, I need my phone for work, Mom?" "Dana, don't be selfish. Your brother needs help." "Dad, we raised you better than this." Zach again. "You can't just abandon family." A nurse enters, her shoes squeaking on the linoleum. She takes in my trembling hands, the tears on my cheeks, the phone lighting up with angry messages. Without a word, she gently takes the device and switches it off, placing it in the drawer. "Rest," she says firmly, adjusting my IV drip. "Whatever it is, it can wait." I close my eyes, feeling the cool saline flowing into my veins. For the first time in years, I let myself acknowledge the truth: it can wait. They can wait. I've given everything I have and still they want more. But I have nothing left to give. At the present moment at home, the bank statements spread across my kitchen table like fallen leaves. Each page rustles as I sort them into stacks, my fingers trembling against the paper. 1 week since the hospital released me, and I still wear exhaustion like a second skin. But I need to know. My laptop screen glows in the early morning. The spreadsheet stares back at me, each cell filled with a number that squeezes my chest tighter. Transfer after transfer, month after month, year after year. The pattern emerges in cold, merciless clarity. Let's see, I whisper, fingers tapping calculator keys. 200 here, 800 there, 1,200 for the mortgage. The total flashes on the screen, 42,000. 3 years of my life reduced to a number that steals my breath. My teaching contract lies beside the statements, the salary figure suddenly absurd against the mountain of withdrawals. How many field trips had I chaperoned while my bank account bled dry? How many spelling tests had I graded while my family drained me empty? The memory surfaces like a bubble breaking. Mom sprawled on the couch, last Christmas hand pressed to her forehead. Dana, sweetie, my migraines are back. I just can't handle the stress of these bills. Her voice had quavered perfectly, her eyes gleaming with practiced tears. I'd written the check before she finished speaking. Dad's office in the garage floods my mind next. The space where he claims to do freelance work, but the browser history tells a different story. YouTube videos online, poker hours of mindless scrolling while bills pile up. His voice echoes in my head. Just a slow month, princess. You know how freelancing goes. A knock at my door startles me from the memories. Sarah from work stands there holding a casserole dish, her smile warm but worried. Thought you might need dinner that isn't from a drive-thru. You didn't have to. I start, but she walks past me into the kitchen. Oh, honey. She takes in the paper chaos on my table. What's all this evidence? The word tastes bitter. 3 years of being the family ATM. She sets down the casserole and pulls out a chair. Tell me. Before I can answer, my phone buzzes. Dad's voice fills my voicemail. Your mother is beside herself with worry. How could you ignore her texts after everything we've done for you? Sarah's eyes narrow at the message. She reaches over and silences the phone as another text appears. Mom this time. My blood pressure is through the roof from stress over you, Dana. The doctor says... They always know exactly which buttons to push, I whisper, because they installed them. Sarah's voice carries the weight of recognition. My sister went through something similar with our mom. My laptop chimes with an email notification. Zach, how could you abandon the family like this? Mom and Dad gave you everything. A laugh bubbles up sharp and foreign in my throat. Everything except permission to have my own life. Sarah squeezes my hand as more texts roll in. Aunt Carol asking what's wrong with me. Uncle Pete suggesting I seek counseling for my selfish phase. Cousin Rachel posting on Facebook about ungrateful children who forget their roots. The words blur before my eyes, but something has shifted. The tears aren't from guilt this time. They burn with something fiercer, something that's been building since I opened my eyes in that hospital bed. Later that night, my fingers move across the keyboard, crafting an email I've needed to write for years. The words flow like water breaking through a dam. Dear family, I am no longer available to provide financial support. All past contributions were gifts, not loans or obligations. This decision is final and not open to discussion. My cursor hovers over the send button. The familiar vice of guilt tightens around my throat, but Sarah's presence steadies me. One click, done. I turn off my phone before the backlash can begin. The silence fills my apartment like cool water washing away years of manipulation. That night I sleep without waking for the first time since childhood. Morning light streams through my window when I find the old photo album tucked away in my closet beneath a stack of unpaid medical bills. The pictures tell their own story. Thanksgiving me in the kitchen while everyone eats. Christmas me wrapping presents while Mom directs from her sick bed. Birthday parties where I'm barely visible, always serving, always giving. A loose paper flutters from between the pages. Zach's childish handwriting spreads across the crayon drawing. Thank you for being my mom when Mom is sick. The truth hits me like a physical blow. I hadn't been a daughter or a sister. I'd been a resource carefully cultivated and steadily drained. The hospital hadn't been my wake-up call. It had been my liberation. I close the album and stand muscles protesting from hours hunched over bank statements. The spreadsheet still glows on my laptop screen, but it doesn't strangle me anymore. Those numbers aren't a measure of my worth, they're a record of my resilience, and a map showing exactly where to build my walls. The phone's ring slices through 2 weeks of blessed silence. Walter's number flashes on the screen, and my stomach twists into a familiar knot. Dana, his voice trembles. Your mother had a health scare. Ambulance came. You should come right away. My keys jingle against the counter as I grab them. The rational part of my brain screams in protest, but my feet move toward the door anyway. Through every red light past the elementary school, where my classroom sits dark and empty, I rehearse what I'll say. I can help, but not financially. I can support, but not enable. The words evaporate when I see Linda stretched out on her floral bedspread, pale face turned toward the window. Walter and Zach hover nearby, exchanging meaningful glances. Baby girl, Linda's voice barely carries. Is that you? I slip into caretaker mode like putting on an old sweater. Within hours, I'm sorting medications, preparing soup dusting surfaces that clearly haven't seen attention in weeks. The house smells stale, as if no one's opened a window since I left. Bills peek from drawers as I search for clean washcloths. Past due notices, collection warnings. My fingers itch to write checks to make the problems disappear like I always have. The old pattern wraps around me, comfortable as a noose. Just until she's better, Walter murmurs, watching me scrub dishes that have sat too long. You know how she gets when you're not here. The water runs scalding over my hands. Steam rises, carrying 20 years of similar conversations. Just until the mortgage catches up. Just until Zach finds a better job. Just until. On my third day back, I hear Zach's voice floating from the garage. The window above the sink lets his words drift in clear as bells. Worked like a charm. She's back. His laugh carries no warmth. Mom should seriously go into acting. The plate in my hands doesn't shatter when it hits the bottom of the sink. It just sits there, sudsy and accusatory, while ice spreads through my chest. Behind me, Linda's slippered feet whisper across linoleum. I turn to find her moving with none of the weakness she'd shown moments ago when I'd brought her tea. She freezes, catching my eye. The mask of illness slips back into place, but too late. My phone feels heavy in my pocket. I pull it out, fingers trembling, as I text Sarah. They faked a medical emergency. The response comes instantly. Stay put, coming to check on Linda. Sarah arrives 20 minutes later, all concerned smiles and medical expertise from her years as a school nurse. Her eyes telegraph support as she performs an unnecessarily thorough check of Linda's symptoms. My own salvation arrives in the form of a call from Principal Roberts. Sorry to bother you during family leave, but we have an urgent curriculum matter. I have to go, I announce, gathering my purse. School emergency. But your mother, Walter starts. The words that have lived in my throat for decades finally break free. Seems to be feeling much better. Linda's eyes narrow. The sharp calculation there confirms everything. Outside Mrs. Bennett from upstairs waters her sidewalk plants. Oh, Dana, how's your mom? Saw her Friday looking great in the makeup aisle at Marshall's. Friday, the day of her episode. The walk back to my car stretches longer than usual. Each step feels like waking up from a decades-long dream. An hour later, St. Home, I spread bank statements across my kitchen table like a general planning battle strategy. Transfer records, text messages, years of carefully documented withdrawals paired with convenient emergencies. The timeline emerges in neat columns. Mom's heart flutter, down payment for Zach's car, Dad's back injury, their property tax payment, the burst pipe that never existed, 3 months of mortgage payments. My hands don't shake anymore as I write the formal letter. Words flow like water breaking through a dam. I am writing to document the pattern of financial exploitation and emotional manipulation that has characterized our relationship. Moving forward, I will no longer provide financial support of any kind. The late afternoon, the next day, the sun paints my apartment in amber when I return to their house one last time. The letter sits in my bag, heavy as stone. Your mother needs her medication, Walter calls as I walk toward my car. 180. I close the car door with a soft click that echoes like thunder. The smile that crosses my lips feels foreign and wonderful. Through the windshield, I watch their faces shift from expectation to confusion to the first traces of fear. They've never seen this smile before. They have no idea what comes next. At the present, the morning sunlight streams through my apartment windows, casting warm pools across the hardwood floor. My spider plant stretches its leaves toward the light, thriving since I've had time to actually water it. 3 weeks of peace, of sleeping through the night, of remembering to eat breakfast. 3 weeks of my phone buzzes, again and again. The screen lights up with a barrage of notifications, each one making my stomach clench tighter. Dana, how could you do this to your own mother? Aunt Meredith's text screams in all caps. Cousin Linda told me everything, writes Uncle Pete. We raised you better than this. You abandoned your mother after she nearly died. Another message from a family friend I haven't spoken to in years. I set my coffee mug down with trembling fingers and open Facebook. Mother's latest post fills my screen, complete with a photo of her looking frail in a recliner, tissues scattered artfully around her. Never thought I'd see the day when my own daughter would abandon her family in our time of need. After all we sacrificed to raise her. Prayer warriors needed. The comment section overflows with sympathy. What a heartless daughter. Kids these days have no respect. Praying for you, Linda. My brother Zach has shared her post, adding his own twist, created a GoFundMe for our family in crisis. My sister's abandonment has left our parents struggling. Please share. The campaign already has 2,000 in donations. I close my eyes, drawing in a deep breath. The air conditioning hums softly, grounding me in the present moment. When I open my eyes, I see my reflection in the window shoulders, straight jaw set. Not the cowering daughter they expect me to be. Sarah arrives an hour later, laptop tucked under her arm. Ready to set the record straight? I nod, pulling out my own computer. More than ready. We spend the afternoon crafting my response. Not a rant, not a defense, just facts. I create a private Google Drive folder, methodically uploading years of bank statements. Each document tells its own story. 200 monthly mortgage payments to my parents, car insurance payments for Zach, medical bills I covered while they remodeled their kitchen. The folder grows screenshots of texts begging for money, each one labeled with the corresponding bank transfer. The recording of Zach's phone call in the garage. Mom should seriously go into acting. My therapist's formal letter documenting the pattern of financial abuse. Keep it simple, Sarah advises as I draft the email to the extended family. Let the evidence speak for itself. My fingers move across the keyboard. Dear family, I understand you've heard concerning things about my relationship with my parents. Rather than argue, I'd like to share some documentation with you. The attached folder contains bank records, communications, and other evidence that will provide context for my recent decisions. I ask only that you review these materials before making judgments. Best regards, Dana. Send. The responses trickle in slowly at first. Aunt Meredith calls within the hour, her voice thick with tears. Dana, honey, I had no idea. All these years. Uncle Pete's email arrives next. This is disturbing. I'm so sorry we jumped to conclusions. Mother's phone lights up my screen. I let it ring. A text from my father. Take down those lies immediately. Your mother is beside herself. Another from Zach. You're twisting everything. They'll never forgive you for this. But the tide has turned. In the following days, Mother's Facebook post disappears. The GoFundMe vanishes. Family friends send quiet messages of support. We suspected something wasn't right. You were always giving, giving, giving. Your mother's stories never quite added up. Through my living room window, I watch the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold. My phone buzzes with a text from Aunt Caroline, Mother's sister. I've watched this dynamic for years, too afraid to speak up. You're braver than I ever was. A week later, Mother launches a video call offensive, her face tear-streaked as she begs family members to understand what our Dana has done to us. But in the background, tacked to their bulletin board, a notice peeks out. Final foreclosure warning. Their facade crumbles further when Zach's LinkedIn profile suddenly updates, seeking new opportunities in sales. The certified letter arrives on a Tuesday morning. Law firm letterhead, my parents' names, and the return address. I place it unopened on my desk, a quiet smile playing at my lips. They taught me well about family obligation, about doing the right thing, about standing firm in my convictions. I pick up my phone and dial the number Sarah recommended. Hello, this is Dana Thompson. I'd like to schedule a consultation with Ms. Martinez regarding a family legal matter. My spider plant stretches toward the sun roots, growing stronger by the day, like me. A week later, after the call to my lawyer, the coffee shop door chimes as I push it open. Afternoon sunlight streams through tall windows, casting long shadows across wooden tables. My attorney, Rachel Martinez, sits at a corner table pretending to work on her laptop. We practiced this moment for hours, the casual placement, the perfect sightlines, the practiced responses to every possible scenario. I spot my family immediately. Mom's pearl necklace catches the light as she dabs at her eyes with a tissue. Dad's arms cross over his chest, his jaw set in that familiar stern disappointment. Zach slouches in his chair phone face down on the table. Their attorney, a man with wire-rimmed glasses and thinning gray hair, arranges papers with careful precision. Dana, Mom's voice wavers. We've been so worried. I slide into the empty chair, setting my leather portfolio on the table. The weight of documentation inside steadies me. Every bank statement, every text message, every recorded conversation, carefully organized and flagged. Your mother hasn't slept. Dad leans forward. Her blood pressure. You've torn this family apart. Zach interrupts his words, rehearsed. We're here because family takes care of family. That's what we do. Their attorney clears his throat. Miss Thompson, your parents have asked me to discuss certain legal obligations regarding elder care. I watch Mom's performance, the trembling hands, the perfectly timed sniffle. Dad pulls out a wrinkled document. You promised in writing to help support us through retirement. The stress of your abandonment. Mom presses the tissue to her lips. My doctor says my heart... We want to heal what you've broken. Zach spreads his hands. Maybe family therapy. Their attorney slides a paper across the table. A modest monthly support payment would resolve. Are you finished? My voice comes out steady calm. They blink at me, thrown off script. I open my portfolio. I'd like to share some documents of my own. The bank statements emerge, first color-coded and annotated. $42,000 over 3 years, my entire savings. Next comes the spreadsheet of Zach's emergency requests. Notice the pattern. Mom's tissue crumples in her fist. I pull out my phone, press play. Zach's voice fills the air. Worked like a charm. She's back. Mom should seriously go into acting. Dad's face flushes. Now wait just a minute. Rachel appears at my shoulder, sliding her business card onto the table. I'm Dana's attorney. We've prepared a cease and desist regarding the recent defamation campaign. I lay out my medical records. Severe dehydration, exhaustion, collapse in front of my third-grade students. My hands don't shake anymore. My therapist's assessment of financial exploitation. My principal's statement about the impact on my work. Mom's mask slips. Calculation replaces grief in her eyes. I was your daughter, I say softly. Not your bank account. Dad's chair scrapes back. You ungrateful, Rachel raises her hand. Mr. Thompson, I strongly advise against threats. I continue as if he hadn't spoken. No contact for 1 year minimum. All previous financial support is considered gifts. No further assistance will be provided. My voice strengthens. Any harassment or defamation will result in immediate legal action. Dad's face darkens to scarlet. He opens his mouth, but Rachel's presence stops whatever he planned to say. Zach glances between our parents, watching their carefully constructed world crumble. For the first time, he looks uncertain. I stand and something shifts in the air. Something... I'm no longer the little girl who needed their approval, no longer the teenager who sacrificed everything to keep peace, no longer the woman who emptied her bank account at every crisis. I hope someday you'll see me as your daughter, I say, not your provider. The silence holds as I walk away, my footsteps steady on the hardwood floor. Behind me, whispered conversation erupts, but I don't turn back. Don't hesitate. The door chimes again as I push it open, stepping into the warmth of the afternoon sun. Rachel falls into step beside me. You did good in there. I breathe in the spring air, tasting freedom. The weight I've carried for decades finally lifts from my shoulders. Ahead, the street stretches wide and open, full of possibilities I never let myself imagine before. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't staying to fight. Sometimes it's simply walking away. A year later, the morning sunlight streams through uncurtained windows, painting golden squares across my refinished hardwood floors. No more heavy drapes blocking the light. Those went to Goodwill months ago, along with the constant shadow of obligation that used to darken every corner of this apartment. My students' artwork brightens the kitchen wall where unpaid bills once gathered dust. A crayon masterpiece declares best teacher ever next to a carefully constructed paper flower. No more spreadsheets tracking family payments, no more collection notices accidentally delivered to my address for Zach's overdue car loan. The calendar by my desk tells a new story yoga class on Tuesday's book club, every other Thursday weekend hiking with Sarah. My time belongs to me now. Even the empty spaces between appointments feel different, like possibilities rather than gaps waiting to be filled by someone else's needs. My jade plant stretches toward the sun, leaves plump and healthy. I'd forgotten I had a green thumb back when every spare dollar went to Walter's temporary job setbacks or Linda's endless medical bills. Now my windowsills overflow with life pothos vines trailing down the walls, African violets blooming in cheerful clusters, a family of succulents basking in the Colorado sunshine. Good morning, everyone, I tell my students 2 hours later. My voice carries across the classroom with an energy I'd forgotten I possessed. 28 third-grade faces beam back at me, their excitement for today's science experiment practically vibrating the air. No more fighting to keep my eyes open through lessons. No more hiding dizzy spells behind my desk. Who remembers what we learned about the water cycle yesterday? A forest of hands shoots up. I call on Tommy, who bounces in his seat with enthusiasm. Water evaporates into the air, then condenses into clouds, then precipitates as rain. His answer tumbles out in one breathless rush. Excellent. I pull out the materials for our terrarium project. Today we're going to create our own mini water cycle. Principal Roberts pauses in the doorway, watching our controlled chaos of plastic containers and pebbles. His smile carries none of the worry I used to see in his eyes. The kids' test scores came back, he says quietly when I step over. Highest improvement rate in the district this quarter. They're amazing students. I help Maria secure the plastic wrap over her terrarium. And they have an amazing teacher. He taps my newly approved professional development application. The conference committee is thrilled you're presenting your classroom management techniques next month. The old Dana would have deflected the praise, made herself smaller. This Dana simply says thank you, I'm excited to share what I've learned. And Sarah drops by after school with takeout from our favorite Thai place. You're looking good, she says, studying my face as she unpacks the containers. I mean really good. Glowing almost. Finally getting enough sleep probably helps. I portion out the pad thai, remembering countless meals skipped while dealing with family emergencies. My therapist says I'm making excellent progress. Speaking of progress, Sarah pulls out a small gift bag. Happy 1-year anniversary of choosing yourself. Inside, I find a delicate silver bracelet with a single word, breathe. Sarah. My throat tightens. You deserve nice things, she says firmly, especially ones that aren't billing statements or guilt trips. Later that evening, I spot Jenny, our newest hire, slumped at her desk, looking exactly like I used to grading papers, with shaking hands, dark circles under her eyes. Rough day. I perch on the edge of her desk. She jumps, trying to hide her red-rimmed eyes. Oh, I'm fine, just staying late to finish these, and my mom needs help with her mortgage, and my sister's car broke down, and... Jenny, I gentle my voice. Can I share something I learned the hard way? She nods, twisting a tissue between her fingers. You can't pour from an empty cup. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's necessary. I tell her about my collapse, the hospital, the years of putting everyone else first. I can recommend an excellent therapist if you'd like, one who specializes in family dynamics. But they're family, she whispers. Aren't we supposed to help family? Yes, but not at the cost of destroying ourselves. I share my folder of resources on financial abuse and emotional manipulation. Read these when you're ready, and my door is always open. The gratitude in her eyes reminds me of my own first steps toward freedom. Through the teacher's lounge grapevine, I hear bits and pieces about my family. The house finally sold foreclosure. Walter stocking shelves at Home Depot. Linda folding sweaters at Macy's. Zach moved to Pueblo, working entry-level at an insurance company. Sometimes I catch myself reaching for my phone to rescue them, but the impulse grows weaker each time. The evening settles around me like a comfortable blanket as I curl up in my reading nook, another change I made to the apartment, carving out this space that's purely mine. The novel in my lap is one I've been meaning to read for years, back when every spare moment belonged to someone else's crisis. My phone buzzes. Zach's name appears on the screen for the first time in months. I think I understand now, I'm sorry. The words shimmer on the display as I consider my response. No demands for money follow. No guilt trips about family loyalty, just those 7 words hanging in the digital space between us. I think of the journal entry I wrote this morning. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't staying, it's walking away. Today, I choose myself. My fingers move across the screen, typing a response as simple and clean as my newly peaceful life. Thank you for that. I hope you're well. No promises of reconciliation, no rushing back to old patterns. Just acknowledgement and the space to let whatever comes next unfold in its own time. The setting sun paints my walls in shades of amber and rose so different from the harsh fluorescent glare of that hospital room where this journey began. My jade plant casts leafy shadows across my journal, where the ink still dries on today's entry. In the quiet, I can finally hear my own heartbeat steady and strong, no longer drowned out by the constant noise of other people's needs. I am my own sanctuary now, and in the end, that's worth every difficult step it took to get here.